This article contains heavy spoilers. Quentin Tarantino doesn't tell stories the way other people tell stories. Tarantino's flair for historical revisionism, in particular, began in earnest back in 2009, when his World War II film Inglourious Basterds flipped the script on Hitler and his Nazi forces, with Jewish soldiers coming together to wipe them off the face of the earth. Tarantino provided a similar revisionist catharsis with Django Unchained a few years later, and he's back this year with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a bittersweet fantasy that idealizes one of Hollywood's most infamous real-life nightmares. In Tarantino's 1969, Charles Manson is a footnote rather than a headline. And Sharon Tate, pregnant and full of joy, makes it out of the 1960s alive. In his own way, you could say Tarantino is using his filmmaking currency to right historical wrongs and make the world a better place, if only inside the faux reality of a movie theater. And though the grim subject matter may suggest otherwise, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is ultimately Tarantino's most heartfelt, upbeat and altogether hopeful film to date. Tarantino once joked that his version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame would begin with the title character having his hump removed, so it should probably come as no surprise that his Manson family movie is such a one-of-a-kind affair. The film does end in an ultra-violent clash, as Tarantino's movies always do, but here Tarantino uses that violence for a purpose. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the violent final act is the film's raw, primal catharsis, a bold new take on real-life events that could only ever come from the mind of Quentin Tarantino. In Tarantino's take on the morning of August 9, 1969, the day is saved by Hollywood star Rick Dalton, Leonardo DiCaprio, and his load-carrying stuntman Cliff Booth, Brad Pitt, the two teaming up to obliterate Manson family members Tex Watson, Susan Atkins and Patricia Krenwinkel with fists, a can of dog food and even a fully operational flamethrower that Dalton had used to kill Nazis in one of his films. In an almost comically over-the-top sequence that sees Tarantino hitting the release valve and allowing us to revel in his bloody alternate history, Dalton and Booth's, plus Booth's dog, lay waste to the notorious murderers, and the film ends on a heartbreakingly beautiful note. Sharon Tate, still alive, invites Rick over for drinks. It's one of the most bittersweet endings in cinema history. Sweet because Tarantino rewrites an alternate path for Sharon Tate on the infamous morning of August 9, 1969, but bitter because we of course know that nothing can change what actually happened on that night.